Hi, I'm Max Kesier, and this is On the Edge. Time now. Well, first of all, let me point something out here. Look what I'm holding in my hand. This is the latest edition of the Trends Journal. This is the Bible that people refer to if they want to know what's going to be happening next month, next year, and for the next 10 years. Who is the editor of the Trends Journal? Why, it's Gerald Celente. Welcome back to On the Edge, Gerald.
Oh, thanks for having me on, Max. Always great being on with you.
What's happening from Cairo to Ohio? The world is engaged in a global, seemingly a global insurrection. Tell us, you predicted this a couple of years ago. You talked about the conditions that led to the uprisings in places around the world. It's an economic problem, and the dictators went too far, etc. Tell us a little bit about how you see this situation developing in the Mideast and around the world, developing from here.
When you look back at our Autumn Trends Journal, the headline was, "Off with Their Heads 2.0. You can see it coming. You know, as a Bronx guy, one of my sayings is that when people lose everything and have nothing left to lose, they lose it. They have this white shoe boy language. They call it austerity measures. Isn't that a proper term? What's an austerity measure? Well, if you're Irish, we're going to cut the minimum wage 12%. You're making nothing already. How about making a lot less more? And then what we're going to do is we're going to increase the service fees on everything while we cut services. Oh, one other thing. We're going to also cut back pensions and benefits, and we're going to increase the retirement age until after you die. And we're going to tax you across the board. It's for your own good because we have to save the banks. They can't get a haircut. The bondholders, the people who made bad bets. So all of it's going to be on your shoulders. Then after we wrote this, we saw what happened in the UK. They raised tuition prices 200% on university students. Not only do they have these degrees in worthlessness, now it's going to cost them 200% more to get one. So when you're looking at the facts, Max, here's the deal. You're living at home with your mother and father. You're in your late 20s. You have no future ahead of you. You can't get a job. And the people at the top of the pyramid are raking in all the dough. You think they're angry. So what we wrote before this happened was, students and youth of the world unite. We said the next revolution would be YouTubed, it would be Facebooked, and it would be Twittered. What we're seeing, Max, isn't about Tunisia or Egypt or Bahrain or Libya. It's about the beginning of the great war of the 21st century. It's all about money, has nothing to do with democracy, autocracy, plutocracy. It has to do with the bottom line. And the bottom line is that the pigs, the money junkies at the top, they can't get enough and they don't want to send anything down. So my other saying is, when the money stops flowing to Main Street, the blood starts flowing on the streets.
Right. Okay. Now, before the G20 meeting this year that just ended a couple of weeks ago, an idea was being floated. Two ideas were being floated. One was that to restart this global Ponzi scheme, this credit neoliberal model, it would be necessary to create some kind of new lending facility of $100 trillion, number one. Number two, Robert Zoellick of the World Bank floated the idea of bringing back to maybe a global currency or a new currency backed in part by gold. Can you talk about, you mentioned that it all comes down to money. These are 2 points that relate to this money question. It's the $100 trillion new credit facility. Where did that come from? Where is that going? Is there a new global currency coming? And what is gold's role in this, if any?
Well, gold has a huge role in it. And as you well know, we had forecast the bottom of gold in 2001. It's a very simple formula. the more digital money they kept printing, the higher the price of gold goes. And that's what's going on now. As you well know, one of the major factors behind all these commodity price rises are the devaluation of the dollar. And then you look what the European Union has done. They're playing the same Fed game. What have they... You know, they break every law that they make. They broke the Maastricht Treaty, the Lisbon agreements. You're not supposed to bail out failing nations or buy up bad debt from bad bets made by banks and bondholders. And they've done it. So they're flooding the world with this cheap currency. And now you're hearing Sarkozy, you're hearing Merkel, you're hearing Hu from China. They're all talking about a new world currency and pulling away from the dollar. Let's put this together, Max, as we move forward. The crash of 1929 equaled the panic of '08. The Great Depression equaled the Great Recession. The only reason we haven't gone fast into the Depression is because, again, of these trillions and trillions of dollars being printed by the central banks in Europe and the U.S. And then you put the next equation, the one you just brought into it, currency wars, crash, depression, currency wars, oh, and now trade wars. Argentina, Brazil, they're all talking about it, putting up barriers to stop the free flow of cheap Chinese and other goods from coming in and undermining their market. Crash, depression, currency war, trade war, hot war. And that's what we're looking at now. What's going on, they say, you know how they teach you the stupid junk in school? World War I began because the Archduke Ferdinand was assassinated at Sarajevo. No, it didn't. It was the breakdown of the systems. And what you're seeing now are brush fires. Brush fire in Tunisia, brush fire in Yemen, brush fire in Libya, brush fire in Egypt, and now it's going to move to Europe. Europe is next. Greece, Portugal, Spain, Ireland, UK. We are on the doorstep of the first great war of the 21st century.